There was a former United States Marine Corps member who once piloted a Harrier jet in the 214 Attack Squadron in Arizona. He has been involved in numerous international missions. However, now he has become the most unlikely person to be invited to a 4th of July barbecue in the United States. He is currently accused of using his expertise to teach Chinese pilots how to land on aircraft carriers. He strongly denies these allegations and is currently fighting against extradition from Australia to the United States. His name is Daniel Duggan, but I prefer to call him the flight instructor version of 007. It's absurd how a military veteran, retired for 20 years, suddenly transforms into an internationally wanted criminal. Do you know what's even more unlikely? He served in the United States Marine Corps, then moved to Australia where he met his significant other, gave up his U.S. citizenship, and became an Australian citizen. The whole family then moved to China and had 6 children. And one day, he decided, you know what I should do? I should go to China and teach pilots how to land on aircraft carriers. It's like jumping from a Disney movie to a James Bond film. He is accused of providing training to Chinese military pilots in China, and now Australia has arrested him, while the United States is seeking his extradition. His lawyer is racing against time, trying to prevent the extradition. You know, if he gets extradited, he could face a sentence of up to 65 years. The best part of this story is that he claims everything he taught is information that can be found in the public domain. You can search it on Google or even find it on Wikipedia. Yes, if you're interested, you can find this information online too. I'm telling you, I tried it myself. I actually searched, how to land on an aircraft carrier on Wikipedia. Can you guess what I found? The answer I found was, don't be silly, unless you're a professional pilot, you'll never need this information. Otherwise, I imagine there are now millions of Chinese pilots turning their kitchens into simulated aircraft carriers, using food to build them, and practicing takeoffs and landings with remote-controlled planes. His life now is like a nightmare, caught off guard along with his family. Duggan's wife and 6 children are standing outside the courtroom, holding signs demanding his release. Can you imagine that picture? Kids, grab your pencils and cardboard, we're making signs for Dad. Remember, we're going to write, don't extradite Dad to the United States. And, Dad was just teaching from Google and Wikipedia content. What I want to say is, I completely understand that sentiment. If one day my boyfriend, who teaches Chinese cooking on YouTube, suddenly gets accused of engaging in espionage, I think I would be shocked too. Here, I just want to say, my friends who are seeking jobs abroad, whether you're teaching aircraft landings or Chinese cooking, don't forget to inform your employers that you need a clear job description. Otherwise, you might end up being extradited and thrown into prison due to some regulation you've never heard of. That's how this story goes. A former Marine and his family are trying to prevent him from being sent back to the US for trial while he adamantly claims to be a loyal user of Google and Wikipedia. Let's see if he can successfully avoid extradition in Australia. If he does, I hope he considers becoming a legislative advisor because clearly, he knows how to find some significant legal loopholes. There have been reports of China exploiting a certain loophole to supply Russia with a massive amount of military equipment, including drones, enough to equip an army. It's like a Temu, but this time it's not delivering the sneakers or new coffee machine you ordered, but drones and bulletproof vests. Do you know what the loophole is? These supplies are labeled as dual use, they can be used for both military and civilian purposes. This interesting fact reminds me of an old joke. This shovel can be used for digging soil or hitting people. I must say, China has a really sharp business sense. Reports say that Russia imported over $100 million worth of drones from China. When I see this number, I can only imagine the sky over Ukraine as a massive gathering of drones, with drones constantly flying overhead, as if saying, hello. I'm from China, do you need missiles? Among the equipment supplied by China are thermal imaging scopes that can target soldiers at night, which seems like something straight out of a science fiction movie. In this regard, I can only say that Russian soldiers, while in battle, can also enjoy a special night vision music concert. It's truly mind-blowing. Speaking of which, I can't help but ask, what is China's stance? Chinese officials claim to be neutral and attempt to position themselves as potential mediators. However, if China were a hotel, then Russia would be the customer in the lobby, making a loud commotion and breaking glasses, while China would be the smiling waiter on the side saying, please continue, sir, we have more glasses. We see that China engages in arms trade with both Ukraine and Russia, while maintaining close trade and military relations with Russia. This reminds me of the old saying, you can't ride 2 horses with one behind. But it seems that China has found a way, by building a bridge, so they can walk from one side of the river to the other. Last year, China finally reopened its borders after the COVID-19 pandemic, allowing Chinese people to travel abroad freely. The tourism industry worldwide anticipated a wave of Chinese tourists. And what did we all receive? Well, a tourism boom in China, yes, but it's happening within China itself. We thought there would be a massive influx of tourists leaving the country, but instead, many people choose to stay at home. Some genuinely prefer staying home, while others are deterred by the difficulties and expenses of traveling abroad. It's clear that after the zero-COVID policy, stepping out of the house is not as easy. Going abroad feels like playing a high-stakes game of Monopoly, where you have to win airplane tickets and wait for the exit visa. Domestic flights in China have resumed, but international flight capacity is still less than half of what it was before the pandemic. It's like ordering food in a restaurant and being told, "Sorry, sir, we can only make half of what you ordered." Even if they do go abroad, can you guess where Chinese tourists' preferred destinations are? It's the Middle East and North Africa, like Egypt, while interest in traveling to the United States has declined. I guess this may be related to the deteriorating relations between China and the West. Perhaps some people feel that instead of going to the US and being called Trump's friend, it's better to see the pyramids and camels. To make matters worse, the war in Ukraine has led to North American flights being unable to pass through Russian airspace, making flights from China to North America longer and more expensive. However, regardless of the destination, Chinese tourists have become more frugal. Previously, Chinese tourists were known for their extravagant overseas shopping, but now? They might only buy a postcard to send back home and tell their families, "Look, I really went. But I only bought this." So, despite our anticipation of Chinese tourists' outbound fever, in reality, they may be enjoying a stay-at-home fever within the country. But don't worry, I don't think this situation will last too long. Once airplane tickets become cheaper, visa processes are simplified, and international relations ease, I can guarantee that our Chinese friends will definitely pack their bags again and embark on journeys. On the 25th, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Taiwan International Solidarity Act. The bill clarifies that UN General Assembly Resolution 2758 never mentioned Taiwan's representation or sovereignty at the United Nations, nor did it include any declaration regarding Taiwan's sovereignty. China has long distorted this resolution and hindered Taiwan's participation in international organizations. The bill calls on the United States to use its international standing to counter China's actions and requests the State Department to report information on China's obstruction of Taiwan's diplomatic relations. Open black lens bracket. The U.S. considers reaching a fentanyl agreement with China. Close black lens bracket. According to informed sources quoted by U.S. media, the U.S. government is discussing whether to lift sanctions on China's Ministry of Public Security Forensic Research Institute to ensure renewed cooperation with China in combating fentanyl. Cooperation between the U.S. and China in combating fentanyl is currently at a standstill. Informed sources say that Beijing insists that the U.S. must first lift sanctions on the aforementioned institute as a prerequisite for restarting anti-drug cooperation. Canadian media recently reported that a report from February 1986 obtained through the government's Access to Information Act revealed that the Federal Intelligence Advisory Committee had issued a warning at that time. The report stated that China was using open political activities and covert intelligence operations to influence and exploit the Chinese community in Canada for its economic and political purposes. Currently, most of the contents of the document are still classified. Open black lens bracket. Chinese and Indian officials meet to discuss border dispute. Close black lens bracket. The Indian Ministry of External Affairs issued a statement on the 24th, stating that Indian National Security Advisor Doval met with the director of the Office of the Chinese Foreign Affairs Commission. Doval said that the situation in the western sector of the actual control line between India and China continues to deteriorate, eroding strategic mutual trust and political and civil relations between the two countries. The statement also mentioned that both sides agreed that the state of bilateral relations between the two countries is sufficient to influence the situation in the region and the world. Open black lens bracket. Chinese senior delegation to visit North Korea this week. Close black lens bracket. North Korean state media reported on the 24th that Lee Hongzong, a member of the Central Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China, will lead a delegation to visit North Korea starting from July 26 and attend the 70th anniversary commemorative activities of the Korean War armistice. This is the first public official visit by a foreign country to North Korea since it closed its borders due to the COVID-19 pandemic. North Korea closed its borders and halted all trade and diplomatic exchanges, including with its major economic and political ally, China, since early 2020. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, released a data report on the 25th, showing that global economic growth is projected to be 3%, which is 0.2 percentage points higher than the April forecast, indicating a slight improvement. At the same time, the IMF predicts China's economic growth to be 5.2% and 4.5% for the current and next year, respectively. The report states that although the Chinese economy has experienced rapid growth after reopening, issues such as the real estate market and high youth unemployment rates indicate a weakening of economic growth momentum. The 31st World University Summer Games will be held in Chengdu, China from July 28 to August 8. Some Tesla owners have revealed that they were recently informed by traffic police that Tesla vehicles are prohibited from entering the controlled areas during the games. Another security notification for the games states that Chengdu, Sichuan strictly prohibits the sending and receiving of prohibited items during the event. All mail destined for Chengdu, Panjiwa, and other areas will undergo inspection and security checks. Open black lens bracket NBA player Kyle Anderson obtains Chinese citizenship. Close black lens bracket. Kyle Anderson, an active NBA player of 1/8 Chinese descent, obtained Chinese citizenship on the 24th, becoming the first naturalized player for the Chinese men's basketball team. The Chinese Basketball Association posted a message welcoming Kyle Anderson, stating that with the support and efforts of various parties, he has obtained Chinese citizenship today and met with Yao Ming, the chairman of the Chinese Basketball Association. Open black lens bracket. Toyota cuts nearly 1,000 jobs in China. Close black lens bracket. On the 24th, Toyota's joint venture in China announced that it has recently laid off approximately 1,000 contract workers due to current production conditions. According to Japanese media, the demand for pure electric vehicles is rapidly expanding due to Chinese policy initiatives, and domestic and foreign new car manufacturers such as BYD and Tesla are fiercely competing in the market. Japanese automakers started late in electrification and need to make adjustments. On the early morning of July 24, a fire broke out at the Shandan Grand Buddha Temple in Zhangye City, Gansu Province, China, a temple with a history of 1,000 years. The fire was extinguished after burning for several hours. According to Chinese media, the Shandan Grand Buddha Temple has experienced multiple instances of damage throughout its history. Before the fire, its main hall, known as the Dashang Baodian, was a wooden structure with a glazed tile roof, standing at a height of 39 meters. Inside, there was a seated clay statue measuring 35 meters, making it the largest indoor seated clay Buddha in the world. Hello everyone, I am your news anchor Yali. We are here every day to provide you with a one-stop service for Chinese news. Feel free to leave comments in the comment section, and we will carefully read and respond to your comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode. Take care everyone.